All right, we are live. So welcome back to DAP University. So today we have got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Okay, we're talking about a big problem for Web 3.0 that has to get fixed in order for some things inside this space to actually work. Okay, we're actually looking at some breaking news that we're seeing here. I wish we actually kind of covered this as our angle today. So we'll be kind of looking this up live. The story really just broke like as we were about to go live today. It looks like the New York Stock Exchange has filed a trademark application for NFT trading. Okay, lots of other news updates that have happened in this space since our live stream yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just turn on notifications, subscribe. You'll find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to answer some of your questions, take a quick look at the crypto markets, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dapuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Last but not least, like nothing I'm saying in this video is having financial advice, and there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below. Just ignore them. Like I'm never going to give you my phone number or ask you to invest with me. So we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Made You Look, David Stone, Camille, hope I'm saying that right. Technically, Hugo, Omar, Dirk, Culture Highs, Omar. Sorry, Omar. Lots of names here. Awesome. Welcome. So let's jump into this. I want to talk about this big problem for Web 3.0. I also, like I was saying, as we're getting started today, we just saw this news about NFT application for a trademark file for NFT trading on New York Stock Exchange. That's pretty exciting. So I want to maybe get to this first topic and jump into the New York Stock Exchange news. It's not necessarily confirmed by multiple news sources yet, so we're going to try to look at this kind of live on camera today. But let's start with the first thing. We'll get through it and then we'll move on to that. So I want to begin by talking about a problem for the Web 3.0 space that has to get fixed. So one of the big use cases for Web 3.0 technology is actually, coordinating. Just a theme across multiple use cases is coordinating strangers online in a decentralized way to achieve a common goal. Okay, that's one of the things that you can do with cryptocurrency in the first place. So, like from the most basic level, that's what you do with Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin is just this blockchain. It's people want to have a money that's not controlled by government. And how do you do that? Well, you create a decentralized peer-to-peer cash system where you can pay people. And then now you have this network effect of people that value this thing and can pay each other. And you're coordinating with strangers online to do this. You got miners, you've got, all this type of stuff, right? And, moving beyond that, we have all these other use cases where you can do this. So one really popular use case right now that we're talking about are DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations. So this is basically creating some sort of bringing a group of people together who want to accomplish some common goal, all right, where they coordinate with each other and they vote on what their decisions are going to be. And then those decisions are actually executed in the blockchain. So this has the potential to change how companies work, how investment funds are managed. Okay, so that's what a DAO is, a decentralized autonomous organization. Basically, it's an organization that runs on a blockchain. It has smart contracts that enforce the rules for this organization. And typically how decisions are made is that you have people vote on decisions who own a cryptocurrency associated with that DAO. Basically, they say, yes, we want certain things to happen, or no, we don't want certain things to happen. And one of those common use cases for DAOs right now is basically managing treasuries. So basically saying we have a lot of money that belongs to this DAO, and how do we want this money spent? So it's sort of kind of like having a board of shareholders, right? It's a very loose analogy, but this is how it works in the blockchain world. So let's talk about a problem that DAOs are facing, okay? And a news story that came out yesterday that illustrates this, all right, what we could potentially do to make this problem better. So I pulled this up on my screen here, along with my co-host Walshy on the channel here. So if you haven't been tuning the live streams the past couple of weeks, you can welcome Walshy to the channel. You can see his handle here on Twitter. If you got anything you want to talk about in our streams today, you can ping Walshy and let us know. We can consider that for the live stream. So let's get into this. So Finance DAO suffers governance takeover attack. All right, so approximately $500,000 that was lost in this attack. So what happened here? Well, basically, Build Finance is a DAO, like I was talking about. It was targeted by a governance attack this week that allowed the perpetrator to mint and sell tokens. Okay, so I'm laughing a little bit. It's not that funny, right? Because there's essentially bad things happen in this case, but sometimes when you're out experimenting in the wild west of the crypto space, when things kind of like, blow up in your face, you kind of have to think about it in two minds, because everybody's just trying to create the new future. And sometimes you have to just, think about it that way. So anyways, the attacker likely gained the equivalent of 160 ETH, or about $500,000 for the various tokens that were stolen. So Build Finance's Build token has been compromised, but it claimed its metric token and metric exchange remains secure. So Wallace, you want to give us more details on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, GM everybody. Yep, definitely drop me a DM if you have some news that you want us to report on. It's like you were saying, definitely a big problem, definitely when it comes to decentralized autonomous organizations and DAOs and the structures of them. So suho.eth, that's suho.eth, was the attacker. It was a pretty big loss, as you reported. It's about $470,000 when all is said and done. So this was all reported on the Bridge Finance Twitter, and so they were basically just kind of doing like an aftermath report. And they said that that suho.eth gained control of the governance smart contract, the keys, and the treasury. And so they drained all the liquidity from the treasury, including liquidity pools on like Uniswap and Balancer of their token, which is called Metric. What's interesting though is this is just like a governance attack. So this isn't actually like a fundamental structural attack on the protocol itself. In other words, they don't have control over the token. They don't have control over the front end infrastructure. It's just the back end governance portions of everything. So in the aftermath report, the team thinks it's safe and that you can still utilize the actual protocol and that the actual event is over. But obviously, this is not the brightest of things.
Yeah, totally. And so, with DAOs, there's lots of different ways that they can be compromised. Ultimately, he who has the most tokens has the most power in a DAO, right? So there's always that, problem. Somebody who could gain, more voting share could manipulate this some way. If the protocol itself is able to manipulate anyway, then you could potentially change that, right? And then those funds could be, taken. But that's also just true of any decentralized application that holds funds, right? So what do I really think is the answer to a lot of these problems, right? Well, not everything's going to work long term in the DAO space, just like not everything's going to work in the NFT space. Not everything's going to work in the DeFi space. Not everything's going to work in the metaverse space, right? But there will be some, I believe, enduring set of use cases for DAOs that work long term. We already have some really good DAOs now, right? I'm trying to be very clear about this. So one thing I think that's a really good solution for this long term is essentially, I feel like decentralization is an answer to a lot of these types of problems. And what do I mean by that? Well, in terms of Web 3.0, decentralization is a philosophy that runs through the entire stack. Okay. So if you think about it, like Bitcoin is a DAO in and of itself, right? It is a decentralized autonomous organization. You may not think of it as one, right? Like you don't think about it as like a thing that you vote on, but you really do, right? Like if you're a Bitcoin miner, you run the network, you're the one that is getting paid for doing that. And you vote, you're voting to add new blocks in a sense into the blockchain. And you're also, you're voting on what you want the future of the Bitcoin network to be whenever new software comes out and you upgrade your client. All right. That is a decentralized organization. It's a DAO. Same thing with the Ethereum blockchain, right? Especially when you do proof of stake, it's way clearer analogy to being a DAO. So those networks are robust because of their decentralization, in my opinion. Okay. And so it makes it a lot harder to like the holes in the airlock are much harder to penetrate when you have that type of thing, because it's really hard to like the Bitcoin supply, like the Bitcoin price is even more resilient the more decentralized the supply is to stronger hands, right? All these things are problems are made better through decentralization, and hence it's harder for a governance attack to happen the more decentralized it is. At the end of the day, you can always bribe a bunch of people, right? But the more people you have, harder it is to bribe. The more token holders you have, the harder it is to manipulate the price. the more, all these things. In my opinion, that's kind of the direction that can make this better long term.
Yeah, that was really well said. Just for the industry itself, these kind of attacks, these kind of events, they need to be minimized, right, as much as possible. They're going to happen, and that's inevitable, especially in such a nascent industry. But it's our prerogative, especially for developers, like try to clamp down as much as possible on these types, and try to work together in order to prevent these types of instances from ever happening. Right, these incidents really just bring everybody back a step. So there's the white hat element, but in the end, the negativity, I think, outweighs the positivity. And the onus is on all of us and participate in order to try to rectify situations and try to prevent stuff like this from ever happening.
Yeah, totally.
But just really sad story.
Yeah, so I mean, just be 100% clear. I'm super bullish on DAOs long term. Not every DAO, of course.
Definitely.
Not just like I said, not every NFT is going to work. Not every metaverse thing is going to work. All right, and so, but I do believe that a minority of these use cases will be really strong value propositions long term. But this is a problem that has to get fixed, and those I think are some of the solutions. So I want to jump over to see what's going on with, speaking of NFTs, with the what is it, a trademark from the New York Stock Exchange. This literally just came out as we were prepping for this live stream, and we're like, shoot, we should have started with that. So we wanted to get through our first item of business here. And let's pull this up, Walshy. I'm gonna see if you can find us any more details.
I've been scanning, and it technically isn't on any of the legacy websites quite yet. Though our source is on Twitter. Social media always gets news first, and we're sourcing Watcher.guru.
So this is the first outlet that we've seen this on. All right, this literally came out right before our stream here. So just in, New York Stock Exchange has filed trademark application for NFT trading. So this has not been confirmed by multiple outlets yet. So we don't want to spread fake news if it's not true. But if it is true, let's just kind of talk about some implications here. Very obvious, this is a big deal, huge validation for NFT technology in and of itself. And when I saw this, I was like, what's really interesting is we're not talking about, real world items getting represented as NFTs here. What this is saying is a legacy system recognizing the value of what's being created in the brand new system and wanting to potentially monetize it. That's what the impetus looks like to me. So that's a huge validation that NFTs in and of themselves are valuable and in demand, and that people through traditional means want exposure to them. Okay, we're not talking about, NFTs are cool, but they're not cool until we use them to represent houses and stuff like that. It's no, NFTs are cool now, and we realize that the NFT use cases that you all created are valuable and are tradable, and we want to we want to capture some of that trading volume. That's what it looks like to me. We have to wait and see more details, but that's my initial impression here.
I mean, if they're filing trademark to trade NFTs, then bye-bye OpenSea, bye-bye every, not centralized competitor. If it's decentralized, you might still have an advantage, but good luck competing with the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I mean, but it's going to be, it's one of those things where there can be lots of people who don't want to use those things either, right?
True.
We'll see. I mean, but it's big, right? I'm gonna see if I can find any other.
And there's no doubt, people will definitely still find alternative methods and ways and to trade their NFTs. There's so many different marketplaces I already know about. There's custom marketplaces as well, right? Just because the New York Stock Exchange has and the ability to trade NFTs, you're completely correct, doesn't necessarily mean that things like OpenSea will go away. But I definitely feel as if they're going to take a large majority of the trading volume, the normal trading volume off of decentralized exchanges, right? That's just how I feel. Again, this is such breaking news. We don't have any kind of conclusive reporting yet, except for Twitter reports right now. So we don't have any extra details. But yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like if you're a, TradFi, through and through, and you're like, oh, I can just get it at the New York Stock Exchange. Right. Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I guess yeah. We'll have to wait and see, right? I mean, it's just a patent file, it's just trademark filing. I mean, when you're in the trademark filing phase, it's really hard to determine what what the timeline for anything else is going to be like, right? So yeah. If anybody has any, definitive sources that we don't sing off the top of our head here, let us know in the live chat replay. We definitely want to check those out because again, this is just brand new, just came up.
Yeah, this is definitely breaking, guys. That's awesome.
Okay, so we got some questions in the chat here. Some say is NFT equals garbage. There's a lot of garbage NFTs out there. I think that's missing the forest for the trees, though. I think there's some really important NFT projects that are going to be big long term. Let's see, are DAOs akin to aristocracy? Maybe more akin to. Yeah, I guess you could. I was going to say oligarchy, but I guess aristocracy because aristocracy has the connotation of wealth.
Yeah. I guess the one thing to add in though is that like you can utilize DAOs in order to boost your wealth, and it's like it's not like it's only for the wealthiest. Like you have the means and the ability to like build up to get there, which is a really important difference there.
Yeah, totally. That's a good point. You don't have to have money to get money. Basically, that's kind of the whole ethos of like crypto is like you can, opportunity for everybody.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly right. There's a question for our first story. David Stone asks, "What forces the people to actually implement the change to follow the vote?" In other words, like with the governance attack, how does someone who has the majority vote like actually implement that?
Yeah, so it depends on how the DAO is structured. So some DAOs, like let's say your DAO is governing a treasury. Okay. So basically, like I wish I had my iPad hooked up. I could actually draw a diagram of this, but I'll just have to illustrate the concept. So one thing that's really cool, I'll try to keep it not super technical from a high level explanation that we can get more technical, which is basically if you hold money somewhere in a treasury and it's actually cryptocurrency, all like the behavior of all that cryptocurrency is programmable. So if your DAO is governing a treasury and everybody's voting on someone receiving money, that's all. You can automate that 100% with a DAO, where basically everybody votes on, does this money go from this person to that person? And then once that vote passes, it just happens. So basically, like that's a DAO governing a treasury that says, hey, we want to fund XYZ project or XYZ initiative. That's a really easy 100% automatable thing on blockchain. Now, getting deeper into the technical details of that, with the actual implementation, is you can put arbitrary proposals into a smart contract. That basically the developer kind of has to create this, or you have to have something that makes it technical. But you can basically create an arbitrary proposal that literally concatenates all the instructions of what you want to happen inside of a proposal whenever it takes place. So, like if you're like, hey, I want, like if you're like, I want, you can do something that says basically like, I want to create a new liquidity pool on Uniswap with all this stuff, and you could just like write out the arbitrary instructions on that for the EVM and put it in a proposal, and people could just vote on it, and if it passes, they just once the vote passes, the executor just has to call that function, and it makes it so. So any action that can take place on the blockchain where the EVM or whatever node software you're running can execute those transactions, all that's programmable and can be submitted into a DAO proposal.
That was awesome. Another technical question. The Strupid asks, do smart contracts pull from centralized places?
Do they poll or pull? What's it say?
Pull.
Pull as in like push pull. Do they pull from centralized places? So it depends on what you mean by that. If you're talking about like trying to get information like data, like real world data, let's say like cryptocurrency prices, for example, that's called the Oracle problem. So basically like, smart contracts don't natively understand what like, the Bitcoin price is, for example. There's no way for it to know. That information comes from cryptocurrency exchanges, which don't live inside the blockchain. And so basically, if you want to get information from off the blockchain, what you have to do is get it from the outside, and you can't just like use a web API for that because smart contracts run on a bunch of different computers. There's a race condition and lots of other problems whenever you try to pull that information off because you don't know that each node right, is getting the same price. It could change by the time, a node on the other side of the world receives that information. So you have to use something called the oracle, which is the source of truth for the entire blockchain. And decentralized oracles are the most popular solution for that. Examples are like Chainlink, for example, to pull that information off and put it in smart contracts. I hope that's what the question was about. Hopefully that gives you some answers on that. So there's a couple other things that I want to look at that are on our sheet today. Let's see here. So we've been talking about YouTube getting into the Web 3.0 space and what that could mean. Okay. We saw that YouTube is eyeing NFTs. Everybody's looking at NFTs. We've seen a lot of sentiment here that NFTs are garbage. There's lots of NFT skepticism. Trust me, I get it. I mean, I was initially pretty skeptical of NFT use cases, still skeptical of some, but I still think they cannot be ignored. And there's lots of cool NFT stuff out there now and stuff coming down the pike. So we saw recently that YouTube's eyeing NFTs, but we also have more clarity that they are now actually pushing to hire a lead Web 3.0 product director is what it looks like. Okay. So do you have any details on this, Walshy?
I mean, not much that we haven't already covered prior to this. They're looking for a director with 15 years of experience and, all the normal stuff. You have to have deep level of knowledge of like NFTs, consensus mechanisms, blockchains, etc. So it's pretty run of the mill, nothing too surprising. It's more or less just going hand in hand with what we were reporting on last week of YouTube really trying to expand into the space and really push for that infusion, right, of Web 2 and Web 3 into the same platform. So it looks like they're definitely going to be taking this seriously, and they're not looking for, someone with no experience. I think that, like we were talking about last week, it is extremely bullish to have YouTube and other Web 2 mediums moving into the Web3 space itself. I'm very bullish on it. I think it's going to lead to a lot of really positive developments. I think that, if you don't need to bring people over from Web 2 to Web3, that's probably the easiest way to onboard tons of people because they're already on Web 2. So I think that's YouTube's push for it, though I definitely saw like a lot of comments talking about, their hesitation of YouTube even getting into Web3, and there's definitely like a very vocal side that's pushing for like completely Web3 native media sharing platforms. And I think they have a valid point as well. I can see both sides of it. While I'm bullish for YouTube incorporating it, I would love to see some new tools pop up as well and really make name for themselves.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, this is just continuing on that momentum. The real thing about it is like, I think a lot of people in crypto space don't get the fact that if you want to create something that's going to dethrone incumbent, you got to create something better, create something more valuable. So it's like a lot of people don't like the idea that YouTube could get into the space and become like a Web3 player. But it's like, okay, you don't like it, then build it, right? You're sitting on an industry with, at least at once had a multi-trillion-dollar market cap. So let's get the funds together, not to mention what the companies inside the space are worth, right? So we're talking about definitely multi-trillion at that point. Okay, let's get the resources together and let's do this. And you have to ask yourself, well, why is it the case? What is the case? Well, somebody has to, pull the sword from the stone and actually create the thing that's going to be competitive. That's how capitalism works. So, same thing with, YouTube, like coming in the Web 3.0 space is like, don't forget crypto. The whole idea is that we're creating open and permissionless infrastructure. Anybody can build on it, right? It's not just the whole idea is that Web3 is an open platform that anybody can use. How about, the little guy being able to participate in crypto? That's true. But the other side of that is the little guy has to participate on the same playing field as a hedge fund manager. Okay. So like you're going toe to toe with people who are going to outclass you by a country mile. So that's also true in the Web 3.0 space. Like we're talking about building products. It's like, okay, you're able to do something, but you're also, going to be on the same field as these big guys. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have, a small, scrappy team whip out something that's more sophisticated than Web 3.0, but that's what you have to do. You know what I mean? There's the innovator's dilemma, right? There's the whole idea that these big, companies can't innovate as fast as smaller, more agile teams, right? Because of lots of factors, process, just bigger priorities in the company, all that type of stuff. And if somebody's going to actually come do this, then you gotta do it.
And we're old heads, and so you obviously remember when YouTube like came out. And the thing is it was pretty revolutionary, right? Like it was just all of a sudden there was a video platform where you can go to. But that's the thing is that really, and when all is said and done, I'm sure some people have some contention with this point. But there really wasn't many competitors. There really wasn't anything that stood out outside of YouTube. It was just YouTube, and it's always just been kind of YouTube. You've got a couple like, smaller examples, but in the end, it's just really all focused on YouTube. So to your point, and I definitely 1,000% agree. You said you have to build something new. Like guys, you have to develop like devs. We have to build something new if you really want to take it over. And that's the case. Again, we had no choice back then. It was just there was YouTube, and that's how it is nowadays, right? And so if you find some way to bridge that gap, then who knows? Maybe you'll have that $1 trillion idea, right? Change everybody's lives. Like that'd be big.
Yeah, totally. So either way, I mean, this pie is so big, and crypto is a positive sum game. I mean, so much new wealth is going to get created out of this opportunity. Already has, right? So, there's a huge pie here. The pie gets bigger the more people get in the space. So the world is different now than it was in 2004, 2005. I can't remember when YouTube came out. I remember it vaguely being around that time. The world works differently now. Like as soon as something pops up, you're going to have a very similar idea entering in the space. Competition is going to enter in so much faster than it used to be. There's more technical talent. Even though blockchain is a steep learning curve, there's just more people on the grand scheme of things who can code, all that type of stuff. So the space is going to move. It's going to move fast. That's one of the reasons that blockchain is one of the fastest adopted technologies in all recorded history. Okay, moving twice as fast as the internet was at the same level of adoption in 1998, is because there's lots of factors, right? Like there's more people who are already using technology, who learn new technology quickly. Okay, the world didn't adopt to new technology as fast back when the internet was first adopted. People are more tech savvy in general and can adapt faster to new technology like crypto. There's more people to create the technology. There's more money in the entire world to fund new technology. It's just everything. There's incentives because you can get into crypto and make a lot of money, like normal people, businesses, all this type of stuff. It just pours gasoline on the entire trend. Let's look at a couple other things here.
Can machine gun some quick IRL news.
Yeah, I was looking at this. So basically, like, I want to look at this thing with the IRS. It's kind of boring from a tax perspective. It's actually pretty big for crypto. Some of the IRS won't consider miner stakers, coders to be brokers. So, do we confirm that this is the case, or are they just saying that this might be the case?
No, this was confirmed. This was I pulled this from the block, and I'll pull up the news article right now. Do you want me to send it over? Here it is.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, they're basically reiterating that U.S. Treasury, to be specific, reiterated that the IRS will not consider crypto miners, stakers, or coders to be brokers. And of course, when that was introduced last year, and it was so like the language in the bill was so obfuscated that this is what happened. Again, the actual like code, the phrasing in the bill made it sound like any miner, any staker, any coder would be considered an actual broker itself. And I'll let you speak to the ramifications there, but I really like the clarity. I really like how, and I'm from Washington D.C., so I kind of know how that city works, and I really like to see that like the political forces on both sides are coming together to really try to get some clarity here from the regulators, from the Treasury Department.
Yeah, we saw this when the infrastructure bill was going through about like trying to add cumbersome regulations that would basically screw over everybody who was participating in crypto who weren't brokers. That's the background on this, but now we're seeing more clarification. They're clarifying they're not going to do this, so that's good. One other thing that I saw on our sheet today that I want to talk about. We got some big stuff like Salesforce is working on an NFT cloud service. Looks like Jamaica is planning on rolling out a central bank digital currency. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's actually check on crypto real quick right before, and then I gotta jump off for today. Let's see here. We got some positive. We had a little bit of a pump yesterday.
Yeah, markets are actually up, which is really nice. I think it was like 6% on ETH.
Yeah. Let's actually take a look here. Yeah, we got 6.5%, 3.5% on Bitcoin. I saw lots of the shorts were basically just getting like liquidated like crazy. Yeah, so basically with all this stuff, is like it's same kind of stuff that I've been thinking about, been saying for weeks now, which is I think crypto price action is going to get kind of boring for a little while. Especially while the stock market's trying to make up its mind what it's going to do. I don't think crypto's going to just like rip off into infinity while the stock market's kind of in limbo. I want to see some recovery there. We're not seeing it just yet in the stock market. We'll have to wait and see, more probably what happens with the Fed's policies. And then also what's going on with this international conflict, kind of waiting for some of that stuff to resolve. I think, figuring out those type of things before, the party continues, in my opinion, although I'd love to be wrong about that. I'd love for it to just, start getting fun again. But what I don't think is a super likely scenario is for things to be overly bearish beyond this point. I just don't. I do not see a convincing argument for that.
Yeah, I hope you're right there. 1,000%. Definitely feels like it's going to crab for a little bit, which is kind of fine. It was kind of crazy for all of last year.
Yeah.
Right. So a little crab every once in a while ain't too bad.
All right. So a couple more questions here that I got to jump off. Let's see here.
Actually, mostly just good conversations. A lot of people aren't asking too many questions. So I love that community. Keep chatting amongst yourselves. Love that. There was a question about like a specific token. Let me try to find it.
I probably don't have a strong opinion.
Yeah. Well, it was a technical question about not like price action or what you think about this token, but it was, Greg's asking, I don't know what RBX is, but he asked, does a DeFi DEX like RBX that trades on 18 chains all pull from one oracle?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, probably what this is probably very akin to like Thorchain, like a cross-chain market maker, automated market maker. So that's gonna work a little bit differently than like a DApp like Uniswap or PancakeSwap or whatever swap that's been forked from Uniswap. How it works. Those are all powered by smart contracts. Basically, people pool tokens in the liquidity pools on the automated market maker exchanges, and then they just trade directly on the same blockchain. So for cross-chain stuff, what you have to do is basically have additional blockchain infrastructure where like you have like a set of nodes that sits in between each blockchain and then facilitates, transactions between all these blockchains. So I don't think that they're going to use like a outside oracle as much as they are actually going to get the prices from the market that's actually trading within their protocol. So what do I mean by that? So where do cryptocurrency prices come from? So like if you pull up a website like CoinGecko, all right, and you look at like these prices, so where do these come from? Well, you can actually see, okay. So you can see the list of entire exchanges where they get this information from, right? All these exchanges, and they basically aggregate this data, all these prices, and they show them right here, okay. So you can see there's even small price discrepancies across different exchanges, right? So not every single exchange has the same price, but this is basically an average of all these prices down here. Okay, so if you're on a cryptocurrency website, that's how they get it. But what if you are on a cryptocurrency exchange itself? Like let's go to, Binance, right? Like Binance's price is different than Whitebit, it's different from Toko Crypto, just slightly. So this comes from basically the order book on Binance. So what are people on Binance willing to pay for an Ether with US dollar, or what are they willing to sell an Ether for in terms of US dollar, right? That's what determines this price. The individual exchange does. So when you go to Uniswap, it's the same type of thing. Uniswap is basically, it has an automated market maker, so it's not an order book, but it determines what are people willing to buy and sell things on Uniswap for. And part of that comes from what's the price on different exchanges, right? There's always arbitrage opportunities. If the price gets too low, then somebody might come in and sell, or somebody might come in and buy there. If it gets too high, somebody might try to go sell there. And that's what brings markets to efficiency. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is that when you're building a cryptocurrency exchange, you don't pull prices from other exchanges to determine what the token price is on the exchange that you were actually creating. Your exchange determines what those prices are. And those prices are influenced by other exchanges because of these arbitrage opportunities I was talking about. So similarly, if you're talking about a decentralized exchange that's cross-chain, how that's created is with a bunch of nodes. Probably, I don't know this particular exchange, but probably how it works is there's decentralized infrastructure that sits in between each blockchain and coordinates each blockchain, and it maintains its own prices within that exchange itself. And if they get out of whack, then there's all these incentives for people to go do arbitrages from other exchange to help bring those prices to efficiency.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Learned a couple things there.
So that's I gotta jump off for today. So, as always, if you got anything that you want to talk about on the streams, you can hit up Walshy. That's his Twitter handle right there. You can just have me go ping him, submit anything that we want to talk about on our streams today. As always, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Smash that like button. That really helps these videos out. So then we can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast in this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I actually become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.